Welcome back to the Superheroes Everyday Podcast. I'm Danny Horn. I'm here with Joe Lidster. Hey, Joe.
Hi.
This is Act 2 of the 2022 blood-sucking spectacular Morbius. And if you have recently injected yourself with bat stuff and you can't remember Act 1 that well, here's how that went. There's only one quantity of bats that there are in this film, which is too many bats.
I think people want boys to have this unnamed blood disease. They just don't want there to be a cure.
Then we get into the major question of the movie, which is, where the fuck are we now? Milo says we're the original Spartans. Again, the few against the many.
Who are you against?
It sounds like they're being oppressed. They tried to give you the Nobel Prize, and you said no.
Maybe Matt Smith hired them a really nice cruise liner with a really nice crew. Jared went all the way onto the boat, went up to the nice captain, went up to him and went, "Oi, fuck off," like he did to the King of Sweden.
Do you think that mercenaries ever go to movies and they're like, hey, why are we the bad guys all the time? Like, that's got to be discouraging for them. All right, let's get into Act 2. So the reason why this is Act 2 is that now here is Michael Morbius being a vampire and kind of coming to terms with that. He walks into his lab and he yells, "Lab 1, privacy screens." So I guess he's Tony Stark and there's such a thing as privacy screens. Don't know what it means. His legs wobble. And so he goes into his special blood freezer, which he has, which is just a thing that stays there in his room all the time. He just has all this blue artificial blood and red regular blood. And he actually he reaches for the red stuff first, but he has second thoughts. And so he grabs the blue stuff instead, and he just chugs it down. He just can't get it in his mouth fast enough. And then they do the face game. This is the first time they do the face game, where he coughs a little, and his face turns really vampy and then back. And that is the thing that's going to happen for the whole rest of the picture. Like there's not like two settings. The vampire face is on like a dimmer switch and is constantly like kind of moving in and out. And now he can walk around and play handball next to his big bat cylinder.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on in this bit. Which and then he started telling us the plot, didn't he? He started going basically.
Yeah, he starts recording.
Like bats, I now have superhuman strength.
Yes.
Like bats, I can now play with a ball.
He says, first thing he says is, as a result of my procedure, he's recording this. As a result of my procedure, I have an overpowering urge to consume blood, human blood. Which
is ironic, considering his previous disease was having to replace his blood 3 times a day. There's a certain irony there.
He's still going to be taking the same amount of blood. Actually, why doesn't he just use the blood that he usually gets? He has to do it 3 times a day. That's a lot of blood. And someone is coming to your house to deliver that blood to you, right?
Yeah, presumably he doesn't have to replace the blood anymore, but now he was hungry for blood. So yeah, he could use that blood replacement blood.
Yeah,
for his now vampire blood. He'd be sorted.
Yeah, he's still got like an open order.
What's he moaning about? Everything's fine. All he's done is killed a few mercenaries.
Yeah, you're right. My question though is about leaving the evidence. Like, why are you recording this? He doesn't want anybody else to hear this, and B, it's not a thing he's going to forget. It's not something you need to take a note about. Like, that would linger in the mind, I feel.
Yeah, you'd remember it.
Yeah, it's just the day that I realized that I would have an overpowering. That's not a date you'd forget. But he doesn't seem that bummed out about this. He's like, in certain respects, I've succeeded far beyond anything I could have imagined. For the first time in my entire life, I feel good. So, which I get, it's his first taste of handball. And that's a very powerful moment. This is a really different concept of what a vampire is. This is kind of, I feel like, unfamiliar territory where they used to be metaphors for illness. Like the vampire is weak and consumptive, and the way that they can dominate people is using like their charm or hypnosis or something. But this is vampire as super mutant, where like drinking human blood puts you on the Olympic handball team. Oh, I have a question, which is, why does he have a hoodie on? Here he is. He's feeling so great playing with the handball. He doesn't even roll up his goddamn sleeves. This scene, I've seen movies before. This scene should be happening in a white tank top. The rules are very clear about this.
Absolutely.
When you've got an enjoying your power scene, white tank top. It makes me wonder if Sony got fined for this. Like, it's just breaking the rules. Like there was a court martial or something.
I bet Jared said no because he's a bit hard work, isn't he? I bet he was like, no, I believe in my internal trauma. And everybody's like, Martine is wearing makeup in a coma. Jared.
He walks into the bat tank and he explains to us that he has become something different and he feels a kinship with these creatures who are welcoming him like a brother. Cut to all the bats saying, "What up, brother?"
The bats presumably are going, no, we're not on your side. You've stolen us from our country. You have kidnapped us.
And you're keeping us prisoner.
And you're keeping us prisoner in
and
a really
not
big...
feeding us.
No.
Yeah.
And there's no perches. We can't sit down.
Please, at least take us to the Museum of Natural History. Something.
Do something. Show us some culture.
Nothing, right? Yeah, we never go out. We never go to dinner. We never do anything. Yeah.
What did he feed them with?
I have no idea. No idea.
Is that what? Oh my God.
It's more blood coming in.
Is he giving them blood from Anna? Is that why they've got kids in their little hospital thing?
I think it's just extra blood coming in from the 3 times a day blood delivery he gets.
This is why we need the fake blue blood, because there's so much other blood being used to feed the bats.
Yeah.
And to feed the people with the blood disease.
I know. It's a fucking nightmare. There can't be this much blood in the world. He says, this is the thing that he says, I've even developed a form of echolocation, bat radar for the uninitiated. Who are you recording this for? Besides the audience,
Martine?
the audience.
I don't know, Martine.
And who doesn't know the word echolocation? Who is it? Okay. So here we are, the uninitiated. And we see another little dimmer switch setting where his ear is all like corrugated with weird bat fibers. And his eyes get all cloudy. There's a lot of like CGI stuff that happens to him at various points. Unfortunately, it's temporary, though, he tells us. I've been timing myself on my Casio digital watch, which he shows. Do you understand what's up with the digital watch?
That was the one bit I liked. There were 2 things I liked in this film. I'll be absolutely honest. 3 things I liked in this film. The Matt Smith gift scene is really hot.
It's quite lovely.
The Casio digital watch is great. And I actually really like the opening titles. They were really bright and colourful and pink and lovely. I really like the opening titles of it. I don't understand them. I literally, having now seen the film, I have no idea what they are referencing with regards to the film whatsoever. But I thought they were really pretty.
And the Casio digital watch.
I really liked that. I don't know why it was there. It was the one thing that made him interesting.
It's a good thing that you liked it because they show it to us all of the time.
A lot.
Yeah. I looked in the credits just to see if this was product placement, to see if there was like a thank you to Casio credit. And I didn't see one. So I don't know, but it definitely feels like it is. What he's found out is that the artificial blood keeps him stable for 6 hours, and that window is growing shorter. It's like, this is an episode of Tell Don't Show Theater, where he's like, what if artificial blood becomes ineffective? What happens if I go without? Eventually, my vitals drop precipitately, etc. Soon I'll face a choice.
It's a baffling mystery. I can't see where it's going, Jared. Who knows what will happen.
All right, here's another weird location moment. Milo just staggers up to the building and lets himself in. There's no security. Yeah. Like you said, there's a little lobby area. He goes up in the elevator and he gets out of the elevator and now he's in Michael's lab.
Yeah. By this point, I really was losing any concept of where we were.
Yeah. Everywhere is just part of everywhere in this movie.
Because, where is everybody else? This is a working hospital, or it was in some scenes, and it will be after, spoiler alert, Dr. Sutton or Nurse Sutton or whatever she's called gets killed. Yeah. And suddenly there's a million patients and doctors and nurses around them.
In this hallway, apparently. But
in this sequence, there's nobody there. And
Michael can just walk in. Yeah. So he finds Michael, but it's a good thing nobody's around because Michael's all vampy in a little glass box. He's just suffering. Here's another baffling moment. Milo is saying to him, what's wrong? Do you need something? And there's this pane of glass between them. And Michael reaches out his index finger and he writes the word blood in blood on the glass. What is happening? Whose blood is that? And how did it get on his finger? So much of it that he can write the word blood.
Where is little Anna?
Where is little Anna? This is the question. We don't see her anymore. Yeah, you are so right. All right, so at least there is an answer to that question. Milo interprets this correctly somehow, and he runs to the blood freezer. And then he opens the glass box, and he gives Milo the blood, which he just gulps down like it's a juice box.
Yum, yum, yum. Like me with wine.
Yes.
Yum, yum, yum.
This does not seem to surprise Milo at all.
No.
He has no real reaction to it. He just says, Michael, you're strong. Somehow he immediately says, like, that's what he says, is Michael, you're strong. You did it. You found a cure. This is what a cure looks like to him, is you're lying on the ground, painting the word blood with your blood, or with Anna's blood.
With Anna's blood.
But as far as Milo is concerned, mission accomplished. So this is a wonderful breakthrough somehow. Michael says that he has made a terrible mistake, which he obviously has, but Milo is determined. This looks like a miracle cure to him. He wants to suck down some blue blood as well. So he just has like fangs and a vamp face and screams, "Get out!" And Milo just kind of like hobbles away and leaves him alone with his enormous bat cylinder.
Very powerful scene.
It's
a lot of drama. Scene. I felt the emotion as
brother
these two brothers.
Yeah, I know.
Brother against brother. I like, we then cut to Matt Smith at home. Oh my God, my brother's going through all this trauma. What do I do? Talks to Nicola. The emotional.
Right. They really kind of, they deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they don't do any of that. No, you know what happens?
Cut to?
Martine eating Jello.
How are you? About as good as anyone can be in a cruddy hospital.
Yeah, now there's a hospital room where Martine is. She's woken up. She's eating
Jello. Is the Jello kept in the freezer next to the blood?
Yes. That's why everybody has to go in and move the blood over so they can grab the Jello. Here comes Agent Stroud and Agent Rodriguez of the Federal Bureau. We don't see them really doing any kind of FBI stuff except just showing up and giving people looks. That's kind of how these guys operate.
They turn up, the scene's ended, and go, oh, well.
Yeah, they kind of like give people the hairy eyeball. So they show up for not very much reason. They show her photos of all the dead bodies from the ship.
Yeah, I love that.
And they say, these fang marks, don't they look like puncture wounds to you? Yeah, so there's a vampire around.
So they know who the vampire is?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And where he works, which is, by the way, right down the hall.
In that building!
He's there. He's there right now. And if you walk down the hallway, which admittedly is a very scary hallway, as we find out.
Yeah,
but
because it's 6 miles long.
Yeah, but if you walk down that 6-mile hallway, you're going to see an enormous cylinder of vampire bats.
You're going to find hot Jared Leto.
Yeah.
But instead, that horrible crime you were the victim in?
Yeah.
That you were assaulted in. Here's all the other bodies.
Right. Well, but they ask, like, you were conducting a major experiment. What were you doing? And she doesn't even have an excuse. She has nothing lined up. She's having a hard time remembering, she says. And they say, like, okay. And you also work at the Horizon Labs, right? With Dr. Michael Morbius, which is here in this building. They leave her a card because that's what they do.
Yeah. They're really good at their job.
They're amazing at it.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're in the film. They are not interesting characters. They don't contribute to the plot in any way, shape, or form.
No, they do not.
I just assumed, because I thought this was an MCU film, that they were characters from other MCU movies, because I know they do crossover shit.
Yeah. Nope.
So I assumed it was something like that, because otherwise I was like, I genuinely have no idea why these people are in this film.
Well, it's because those are literally like the 4th and 5th character in the movie. I looked at IMDb. The number of speaking parts they have is so low. It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
On IMDb, you've got like the first page where it lists the top cast. There's like the 6 people who are in the film. Everybody else, it lists like gang member.
Excellent.
It says gang member like still on the front page. But it's so weird. And so here's Nurse Sutton, about to become not a character. She is walking down the world's most spooky hallway. It's very, very long.
I mean,
it is nighttime.
So can we go back to your question about on the boat of, is this horror?
Yes.
Because that's what this scene is trying to be. It's horror.
Yes.
And I am sitting there watching it going, well, I'm guessing either Jared has gone full vamp or Matt Smith's doing it. In which case, I don't understand why they're toying with her. Because we know it's an animalistic need for blood.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's an animalistic need for blood, you grab her and you drain her blood. You don't turn like... Is he sitting there at the end of the corridor playing with light switches?
Well, no, it's motion controlled. These are motion controlled lights. So as she walks into each little section, the lights go on. And then as she leaves that section, the light goes off and it goes on in the one that
Why
she's
did they
in.
have this really long corridor like that? I did not know
have
that.
no idea. I have no idea. They're spending so much money
I
on
never
blood.
want to be in hospital if that's what happens.
It's because it's
I
haunted.
don't want to go to the loo in the middle of the night while staying in
The
hospital.
haunted hallway,
and have
yeah.
all the lights turning off behind me.
Well, you know what they have in hospitals though is like a lot of people. They have like a staff that walks around. This is clearly
we've got NHS cuts over here. Maybe the whole film is a message about the Tory government and the NHS cuts that we're suffering through in England at the moment.
It's 9:15 p.m. Everyone else has gone home. It's just Nurse Sutton who's here. And they don't find her until the next morning, until well into the next morning.
I know. Poor Nurse Sutton. No one cares. Not even her twin daughters, as we discover later on.
She does. Something chases her.
Yeah, with the lights twatting about, whatever it is.
She turns on the light switch and nothing's there. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, it's a vampire, and the vampire
everything must be okay. Everything must
chokes
be okay.
her. Yeah. No, then there's it's not really even a jump scare, weirdly. It's just that a vampire just grabs her.
She does that thing where she looks very directly in one direction,
right,
and then slowly turns to look in the other direction. Guess
and then
what?
Chomp. Yeah. Chomp. Drinks her blood.
But you know what? I wasn't that bothered. I wasn't that bothered about her death. Not at that point.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care about her, because I didn't know what her backstory was. I didn't know what her story was.
You're about to find out, yeah.
Will I?
Yes. Yeah, no, you're about to feel real bad about this. We're making jokes about her, and we're about to both feel very bad about it. Michael is visiting Martine. While he's there, he hears with his special bat echolocation hearing, he hears that the police are saying there's a dead body and all the blood was sucked from her body. And he looks out in the hallway and there's the police looking at the body. And that's when we find out that the nurse was killed on the same floor as Martine's room.
Mm.
And therefore that's how we know, like, nobody was on duty in the hospital. Like, everything is just right next to each other. So Michael runs to his room. He decides this is a good time to skip town. So he puts a bunch of blood in a backpack and he's kind of walking out with it.
Off he goes.
Makes down to the lobby. Guess who's there?
Those pesky double FBI agents.
Stroud and Rodriguez finally make contact. And then this dialogue, I'm going to do all of this because I just love it so much.
Please do. I will sit in silence.
Stroud says, I mean, I must admit, Doc, you don't look anything like you do on the news. Rodriguez, yeah, you look downright robust. And Michael kind of just grins and says, well, I have good days and bad. Pilates helps. That's one of those where they're acting like that's a joke, and it's not a joke at all. And then my favorite line, Rodriguez says, how are you on boats? And Michael says, well, as you can see, I don't have very good sea legs. Why do you ask? Stroud says, because you've been looking for a cure for your condition your whole life, right? I mean, you've pretty much tried everything. And Rodriguez says, crazy experiments. Maybe on a boat? I love that. He's just going to keep hitting that boat.
The boat thing is amazing.
Or he says, like, well, I'd call it unorthodox. And I want Rodriguez to keep going. I want him to say, like, unorthodox on a boat?
Nice hoodie you're wearing there. Did you ever wear it on a boat? That scene is amazing. And I love the fact that they go, you look so much better than you do on screen. What he looks like is he looks not British anymore. Because
doesn't look all pale.
To make someone look sick in Hollywood, what they do is they make them look British. And then to show that they now have vampire and they're healthy and robust, is they take off the British makeup and go, look at us, we're American. Because he doesn't look any different. So when he turned down the King of Sweden, it's not like he was grey before and he suddenly got dark hair. No. It's like he literally just looks a bit less white.
Yes. He's wearing the same, like, black hoodie.
He's not even changed his clothes. He wasn't in shabby clothes before because he was struggling for funds and trying to do. So I can't even afford to buy normal clothes. So I live in cheap rags. Because wait a minute, no, I'm a vampire. I dress like a king. It's not. There's no change.
You know what I like? The wine's kicking in. I can tell.
Don't.
I can tell.
Because I'm getting angry. Because I'm stopping finding it funny. And what I'm remembering is the fact that you've made me sit through this film. And one day I will come to America and find you.
That sounds great. You're welcome to come anytime and be angry with me in person. suddenly in Stroud's ear, he gets a magic police report. I'm not sure what the magic earpiece is supposed to be, but he gets a report about a woman upstairs who's been drained of blood, which we already knew about before this conversation.
I assumed that was why they were there.
And he yells, "Initiate lockdown." So that's a thing. That's a thing that Stroud can just initiate.
Have you never shouted that in a place?
Initiate.
I do it all the time. Pop into your local supermarket and just, you pick up a few tins of beans and you just suddenly go, "Initiate lockdown!" and watch people panic. It's great.
And they do. Yeah. So they initiate lockdown, which I'm not sure what it involves. They don't show anybody reacting to that particular thing. But they say to Michael, "You're coming with us."
Girl on reception's like, "This is just a hospital. I don't know what you think we have.
To do that.
We're not some kind of government facility. I can close the doors if that's what you want."
Yes. They tell Michael, "You're coming with us," which is not true.
No.
He is exhibiting all the hallmarks of a guy who is not coming with people. So he starts a fight and knocks them both over. And then he runs away. And then this I think is really the first place where you start to see like the bat smoke that is gonna
this is now, I do not know what this is.
Yeah.
This is on my list. The nurse in the corridor. Why does the vamp play with the lights? Why doesn't she run into all the rooms and lock the doors? Where is every other member of staff? Then everybody turns up when she's dead. And then my next question is, what was going on the roof with the effects? I don't know what that's meant to be. Bats don't have that. Bats don't have a kind of CGI shimmer.
Yeah, it's just everything that he does when he's a vampire now, and it's all color coded too. It's like when he has like a red ball, the thing is all red or it's all purple. So it's just kind of like this like streaming smoke that comes out of him whenever he's doing a vampire thing. That is going to play a major role in our lives over the next like 50 minutes of screen time. It happens a lot. The curly smoke phase of our lives has commenced. And I like the little stunt. He runs. He's in Horizon Labs, I guess, / the hospital / lockdown, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he can't get out the door because they've initiated lockdown.
Initiated lockdown. Cheryl on reception. Press the button.
Metal doors have come down. And so he escapes by kind of like running up the wall of the central stairwell. Yeah. And there's a great little like slow motion, like as he's leaping from wall to wall. They just do that every once in a while. And he gets up to the roof and he is about to jump. And then I have no idea what this effect is now, where there's like wind that's like holding him back from doing it.
I don't know. I mean, I can't even make a joke about it. I literally have not got a clue what's going on. He ran onto a roof, and then there was this kind of repeated shimmer, mirage thing behind him. And then he ran to the edge of the roof. Yeah. Somebody pointed the gun at him and went, "Stop there!" And instead of jumping off the building, he sort of fell back a bit and then fell back.
And then he fell forward again.
And I was like, and even then I was like, well, why can't he just escape in the next scene when they're telling him not to bump his head as they put him in the police car?
Right. Yeah. No, he can't. I think the blood has worn off. I think is part of what's going on here. That now the blood is worn off, and so he doesn't have superpowers anymore.
Right, but the blood wearing off would make him really hungry, and he'd just attack the nearest person and eat them.
Yes, true. That doesn't happen. He's in jail, so Stroud gets a gun on him.
Yeah,
brings him all the way downstairs, and they go to jail. And so he's in a cell.
To be fair, jail might be in the same building. We don't know.
That's absolutely true.
Everything else is in this building. So yeah, I think Matt Smith lives in a penthouse on the top floor. And then we've got hospital, and then,
this jail detention complex is what, like 6th floor, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
And so there he is with his notebook. He's sitting in his cell with his little science notebook. And he's writing, and he's like, "It's worse than I thought. Like, I'm taking artificial blood, like, etc. It'll stop working within days." My question, why do you have this notebook? This is evidence. You're sitting in a cell. You're in custody right now. You're writing notes about your crime.
Are you not allowed notebooks in custody?
No. And then this is a thing that really, this always bothers me in movies. So it's just this scene. He writes in the notebook when he's in his cell. And then the notebook disappears. And when he breaks out of the cell later, he doesn't have it. He doesn't take it with him.
No.
And that's the thing that bothers me the most about movies is when a character has like a personal item and then they leave without them. Like they run away. And I'm always just like, wait, you forgot your bag. Like, oh my God. But
he left his tape recording in the hospital.
I know.
He's leaving a series of notes all around town.
You shouldn't
I might
even
write
have
Morbius
this.
2. I might write Morbius 2, which is someone tracing his steps.
Yeah, or just everybody picking up these little scraps of
And they'll pick
paper.
up the first notes and go, oh, he's a vampire. And then they'll
Yeah.
get to the notebook and he's in the prison and go, yeah, no, I think he's definitely a
Oh.
vampire. And then they'll find the
This
next set
is-
of notes and go, do you know what? I think he might be a vampire.
This is just going straight to the evidence locker. So then there's the amazing interrogation scene where he's handcuffed, and
Yeah.
Stroud and Rodriguez come in. Here's more comedy with Rodriguez. He comes in and he's got a little vial of holy water, and Stroud is like, holy water? But that is the only precaution that they take. They have the bat origami, which they show him, and they're like, we know that your
That's the
hobby
evidence.
is origami, so
On that boat
yeah.
is shitloads of computers going, hi, I'm Jared
Yes.
Leto,
Yes.
and I've got a blood disease, and we're on here putting bat DNA into me. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
They've then found dead mercenaries who've been drained of blood like a vampire.
Uh-huh.
They've got Monique in hospital, or whatever she's called, with all her makeup on. They found, presumably by now, must have investigated his lab and found the glass tunnel full of bats.
Yep.
And his notes in there, and the notebook he left in the prison cell.
And he ran all the way up stairwell.
They've seen his powers. He literally beat them both up. And one of them is Stroud isn't a small guy, but he threw Stroud around like he weighed nothing. He's done all this. And what they go is, we found this little origami bird on a boat.
This is our evidence.
I mean,
yeah.
I kind of want to commit crime in the town they work in.
I know. On a boat?
On a boat.
8 dead mercenaries on a ship does not ruffle our feathers, they say.
No.
Rodriguez has all the best lines. He's like, I'm sure they're guilty of something. Mass murder, we usually just let that go. But, and here's your moment, Nurse Sutton, a single mother with twin girls.
No.
Now they're upset. Now they're upset. Think about those twin girls.
Oh.
And you know why? You know why Nurse Sutton was a single mother? Her husband? One of those mercenaries.
One of those mercenaries. Oh.
He's taken out the whole family, those poor kids.
So the dog's come over. The dog has literally come over to comfort me because I wasn't sad about the death. And now I'm. It's all right, Wizard. It's Nurse Sutton. I know she's gone, but we'll move on.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. I'm sure they'll.
No, I genuinely found that so traumatizing.
I know
when it was revealed that Nurse Sutton
that she
had
had
two
twin girls. Yeah,
because you just don't expect that. That's shock.
I know.
There was no warning.
It's bad news.
That
Yeah, they
coming.
didn't. That's right. They didn't sit us down and say, "Okay, this is bad news. I have some bad news for you." Michael starts shaking. He says that he is getting hungry, and he wants his bag of artificial blood. And Rodriguez says it's evidence, so they can't give it to him. Michael starts growling, and his face starts to change, and he starts to get like all fangs and all vamp face and everything. And they just look at him, and they are not particularly impressed by this. Rodriguez just kind of like gives him a look, like, okay, great, you're going to do this now? You are in a locked room with an explosively dangerous fictional creature, and he is just not impressed. Like, I think it would be one thing if they'd established that these are like the monster cops who've dealt with monster cases before.
Yes.
But these are just like basic throwaway cops. I'm starting to get hungry. You don't want to see me when I'm hungry. He starts getting feral. And they say, we're done here. Let's go. Which is amazing. And they call for a guard to take him back to the cell because they don't really care that much about guards. And then, guess who they bring in? His lawyer.
Who do they bring in?
Milo. So he comes in and they have a conversation about whether he killed the nurse or not. And
yeah.
Milo says he doesn't believe that he did. All you've tried to do is help people. We need to get you out of here. Milo gets up and leaves the cell, and he leaves a blood bag behind. He just takes it right out of his pocket and just puts it down, and he leaves the cell. I have questions. Do they usually give lawyers that kind of leeway as far as like what you're bringing in and out? We know, as you've said, everyone knows that this is a vampire. We have let a man walk into his cell with a blood bag in his pocket.
I mean, he is British. I think we get away with a lot in your country, don't we? Because you just think, oh, they're British. They're so funny.
Yeah. We're just impressed by it. They have made no arrangements. They have not hung up garlic. They have not. They
No.
have the little vial of holy water.
In a
They
world
didn't
where
even
they know
try
about
that.
Dracula.
Yeah. Well, and they know holy water and everything. Nope, nothing. Milo's walking out of jail, and then we see he's not using his cane anymore.
Fuck.
Yep.
What a twist.
It's the big twist of the movie.
It is the only twist of the movie that man with no character is actually the bad guy as opposed to the other man with no character.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was astounded.
You were, yeah, no, you fell over, right? You still have a
Yeah.
little bump on your head. You got to watch out for that with this movie. Michael's upset. He finds Milo's cane. Milo's left the cane in the jail cell, so he's upset. He's got the bag of red. He sucks it down, slurps.
Oh, because that means he's now got 3 canes.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right.
Who needs 3 canes?
He can open a store. He starts to roar, his face changes and his claws come out, and he just like bashes through the wall. And he's gone. He's off into the night.
And the guy, there's something with a policeman come running into the cell going, "What? Where's he gone? He's a vampire. You know what he is." What did you think would happen?
Now he's leaping from building to building, trailed
Pew, pew, pew.
by orange smoke.
Like Spider-Man. Like a Spider-Man movie where we can't afford Spider-Man.
Exactly. That is what he's doing. Down on ground level, now we have figured out that Milo's a vampire. And so now he has to act like a vampire and kill somebody, and so he kills somebody.
Oh.
There you go. It's a guy at the newsstand.
Well, he luckily meets a bigoted newsstand owner.
Yes. In public. Right,
right
on the street, right out in front of everybody. As usual, superhero movies, bloodless murder with no consequence. Michael and Milo finally meet up on the street, and Michael realizes he took the serum and that was a bad idea, and he killed the nurse, and he does all this. So now the conflict is that Milo wants Michael just to go out with him and kill as many people as possible and have a whole bunch of fun. And Michael is being kind of a drag about it. He's being very judgmental. That is now the conflict in the film for the entire rest of the film.
And my question is why?
Why? Which why are you concerned about?
Both. Why is Milo a monster when Morbius is fighting against it and all the trauma? The other guy is like, great, let's just snack on people. So explain that. Someone tell me why.
Is it something
I'm missing from their beautiful backs? Oh, you can.
Michael's rich, and this is how rich people are.
Oh, this is true.
There you go. One sentence.
It is all a metaphor.
Yep.
It is all a metaphor.
This is how rich people are.
Yeah.
Rich people are the worst.
So I apologize for not understanding the nuances.
You know what?
Morbius.
It's not often you can shut down an argument like that. That was a great moment for me. Great moments in rhetoric.
Because at some point there needs to be a discussion where if you and me got turned into vampires now and you started biting people and I was struggling with it and being like, I don't want to bite people, I would have a conversation with you, Danny, where I would go, Danny, but think about it. You were human before. Surely you enjoyed life. You enjoyed people. You love people. Why are you suddenly so cold about it and you want to kill people? And you could explain why.
Yeah, it's fun. This is fun, I would say. It's cool.
Right. That's a conversation the film could have. If the film if they had the conversation in the film where they said that,
they do not.
Instead, what they do is Matt Smith goes, "It's in our nature." What do you mean in your nature? You've just been turned into a vampire.
Right. There's two of you. One of you is one way, the other is the other way. Yeah.
Oh, it's in our nature.
Michael wants to come up with a cure. They start running and they chase each other down into the subway, and there's this slow motion
very much
again.
Lost interest.
Yeah,
because it's not real subway. They're not real people. I don't know what's going on. These two people are just CGI blobs flying around what looks vaguely like a subway station.
Yeah,
it's like I don't care.
All these cops show up and kind of like hold a gun on him for no reason, and then he kind of like spins around and he just kills them all in a hot second. Then runs off onto the subway platform where all the people have disappeared. And you know what I object to? I have an objection as well. Michael doesn't try to save anybody. Like, there's no situation where Milo is like threatening a police officer and Michael steps in to save the guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to either him or the movie as a thing that could be helpful, that he actually tries to help. It is constantly the case with all of these superhero movies that there's so many of them where the superhero does not fight crime or do anything to help people. And this absolutely, Michael does nothing to help another human being at all.
I've just checked my notes though. There was a line we've just missed.
Oh, what was that?
Matt Smith, when he kills the police,
Yeah.
says, all our lives we've lived with death. Why shouldn't they live like that for a change? But they do. They're human beings. We all live with.
Yeah.
That literally makes no sense. It's.
I didn't even clock that. Yeah. No, you're right. That's the crazy thing to say.
You're not a metaphor for Jews in Nazi Germany. You're not a metaphor for the gays. You're not a metaphor for black people. You're not a metaphor for anything.
Nobody did anything bad to you. You were just sick. You were just a sick kid that that like somebody bullied for 5 seconds. How about if I tell you that he jumps in front of a subway car and kind of like surfs on the wind of the subway car? Does that help at all?
That would help explain what he was doing at that moment, because at that point I was like, I don't know what he's doing. Because I thought, is Matt Smith going to attack the subway car? Are we going to get real carnage of him attacking innocent commuters?
No.
And he did.
They have a little fist
I don't know
fight.
where Matt Smith went at that point.
Yeah, Michael has some kind of like CGI experience where there's all this like wind and smoke and stuff, and then he just kind of jumps in front of the subway car and he kind of surfs on the wind. On it. Yeah. I mean, it's actually it's a little bit fun, but it doesn't make sense. But then Stroud and Rodriguez show up, so at least they're doing their job.
There they are.
Stand there and
10 minutes later.
Yep. Look at all the dead cops, and they're very upset. And then they say, well, we need to keep an eye on Dr. Bancroft. Why?
Don't know.
Right now, what we cut to is just Martine at home, where everyone would know that she is, and she's working on a computer, and Milo is outside on the street.
Oh, yes.
Looking up at her window. And that is the setup. There's very little to work with here. We are coming into the end of Act 2. Michael sipping blue, Milo drinking red. We have all the makings of a vamp-on-vamp blood battle royale, and that means this is the end of Act 2 of Morbius. And if you are confused right now, just wait until the craziness of Act 3. Here's what's coming up. He's against the man. He doesn't like the man coming in, getting down on Jean's wear. You know why? Because he's the few. The pretty little stinky pinky. Explain it. It can't be explained.
But that's your pinky.
Well, I know what a pinky is, but like, why would you say that?
This isn't I'm fueled by bloodlust behavior. This is like, oh, well, fine. I shall go off and I shall wait my time and I shall sit on top of this building and wait 4 hours until you leave. And then I'm going to jump on you from above.
It's just this huge, like, post-apocalypse, empty, dark space with a river in it. It's like an abandoned sewer subway station amphitheater, something. I have no idea. All right, stay tuned for that. Thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you.
I will see you right back here for Act 3 of Morbius on the Superheroes Everyday podcast. Thanks for listening.
You don't look anything like you do on the news.
Yeah, you look downright robust.
Well, I have good days and bad. Pilates helps.
How are you on boats?
As you can see, don't have very good sea legs. Why do you ask?
You've been looking for a cure for your condition your whole life, right? I mean, you've pretty much tried everything.
Crazy experiments, maybe on a boat.